Going. Cool. So last coordination call of 2023. It's Thursday, 28th of December. Welcome everybody. I hope everyone had a decent Christmas. Maybe we will start off this time with some shout outs and kudos. Is there any love that anyone wants to give to anyone in the room at the moment? I'll give it like 20 seconds to see if anyone wants to show anyone some love.
I want to give some love to Crypto for all his hard getting his position before the year ended.
Nice. When do you start, Crypto?
Starting tentatively on the 8th.
Very cool, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
CTO gig, right?
Hell yeah.
Love it, dude.
We out here, baby.
We out here. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Cool. Right. Updates from teams. We're pretty thin on the ground here. I think we're only represented by Labs and Eden this week. Billy or Coding, I don't know if you guys, if there's any updates from Labs that you think are worth sharing at the moment in terms of your plans for budget and or partnerships coming in or anything else for that matter.
No, we're still working on the proposal. We'll have to do some adjustments. Manny gave it to us, I think at least me last night to review. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and do it. I'm going to do it a little bit after this meeting. But we're working on that restructure and how to move forward and make sense after the last meeting.
Yeah, and for me, in relation to that, I did take a look at the doc, made some suggestions. Time difference makes it a little bit easier for me to make this, to comment on things. But yeah, I think we're going to be coming back for the proposal relatively soon. And from my end, I'm just getting my bearings in terms of initial communications with partners to be able to kind of get things going. Yeah, that's about it on my end. I'm guessing, Kemp, you're muted on purpose.
Sure am, man. I've got one of those lovely mechanical keyboards that everyone loves to hear on a microphone, so maybe I won't mute next time and you can tell me how annoying the sound gets, and I'll leave it unmuted so I can talk and type at the same time.
Let's just make this an ASMR session. Why not?
Yeah. We can record it and sell it on the blockchain. We'll be millionaires. Cool. Gordo's not here, right? As far as I can see. I'm not on the Discord call. I'm not looking at it. I've got my full screen shared. Nope. Okay. We don't have anyone from Academy here either. Mark messaged in the chat to say he is not very well. I pinged him back seeking an update on their budget. So yeah, not really much more I can say to that. They were supposed to be pretty close to it last week, so hopefully it's just a matter of submitting it, but like, I don't know. Blue, you were here. Are you still here, sir? Got bored of all of our token go up chat and left. Where is he? If you're unmuted, Blue, we can't hear you, mate.
I saw his mic come off.
Mic check 1, 2. Okay, cool. I will go. Yeah, Manny, I'll share that a little bit later, and then maybe ask me any specific questions you've got, or we can jump on a call afterwards, just to get the context. And Blue's dropping an update, so I will update now. Yeah. So for those who missed the last maybe week or two's coordination call, I'm going to remove myself from. Well, I've opted to like step away from labs and focus on sort of foundation DAO governance and trying to get that stuff working. A really small bit of context. I feel like the pull of needing to deliver on the partnerships work in labs meant a lot of that stuff went unloved. And then also at like a higher level, I think me being in labs but having responsibility for those other things kind of like pulled the DAO in that direction naturally, which may or may not have been great. But the idea is that step away from labs, leave them to do their own thing, and then I can focus on trying to get back to a place where we have like better structures and processes for the DAO to operate, particularly for other people in the DAO to contribute, for governance to work better transparency around finances and kind of all of these things that have had not as much love as they used to have in the last sort of couple of quarters whilst we've sort of switched to this new sub-DAO model. So I'm working on a budget for that at the moment. I'm hoping to get it up. I'm aiming to get it up by tomorrow. Other than that, there's not a huge amount more to comment on what I'm doing. Within that budget is going to be like a breakdown of the finances over the last 2 quarters and kind of where we're at right now in terms of money we have, money that's owed, money that potentially might be coming in. So everyone can kind of see what that is, and we can kind of collectively make decisions based on that kind of picture. More broadly, I would like those to get some structures in place in the future where I'm not the one. There's like a group of people who are looking at those things on a regular basis, so it's not just me, because I think it's wrong and it's just me. But anyway, that's a long way of saying creating a foundation budget, stepping away from labs, should have that up by tomorrow. Cool. So just to highlight some of the governance discussions that have been happening this week. Blue, sorry mate, are you back or are you still out of action?
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you go. Do you want to give us
Oh, thank God.
How you doing?
Really good, amazing. Tom is sick, so that's why he didn't came again. So I took the torch. And yeah, on our side, everything is really good. We fix a lot of the problems that Manny found and Patrick. Right now, I'm actually DMing with Patrick, and I'm sending him like some of the new designs and all these things. So everything is really good there. When it comes to partners, from what I hear from Tom, things are a bit slower because of Christmas. So Tom is focusing mainly on new designs, because when all these partners came and all this talent, we had a lot of new ideas and feature requests. And this needs to be designed by Tom, and then this needs to be called by us. So right now, Tom is focusing on these designs. We did everything that we were discussing when it comes to creating a high-quality SEO from pictures to when you're sending to Twitter. So this means that right now, when we have new jobs or when we want to repost a job on DeveloperDAO or any other place on Twitter, it will have a high-quality picture without us hacking it around. And also it will have high-quality text and everything else that we wanted. So all these things are done and deployed on production. And finally, for myself, I'm working on a new algorithm that you will be able to talk to Eden, and you will be able to search across DeveloperDAO to find the best person for you. Because right now, Eden is the only person/AI that can recommend you someone. Now you will be able to actually search the database, which a lot of people are asking for. And this needs a fairly complicated algorithm that I'm building right now with knowledge graphs and all these things. I might create a blog post on how I did after for DeveloperDAO, which will be fun. So that's it. Everything is on the coding side because that's what I'm focusing on. Hopefully Tom will be around I guess next year, the next meeting, and will talk to us a little bit more on what he's focusing on the partner side.
Cool, nice mate. That's all good stuff. It's a shame Tom's not very well. I hope he's not too ill. That all sounds cool. Good to see stuff shipping. I
love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I've been chatting to like the labs team and also like just generally around the DAO about like how we evolve our structures to like try and make things a bit more transparent and like help folks help try and encourage better accountability around all of our groups. So that's kind of that's going to play out in governance proposals and then also sort of processes we put in place to try and track what's happening better, right? So one of those, for example, will be like tracking work for things that are being built in or for the DAO and like assigning responsibility to them so we can see what's going on. I don't know how that would play out in Eden's case, but something to think about. But what I think we should be doing in Eden's case now is, because the work's sort of quite independent, is creating a proposal for Eden to like own this jobs element of the DAO, and then within that proposal, in the same way that labs, academy, agency, others are going to need to put, and foundation are going to need to put like deliverables and KPIs on there that we can all hold each other accountable to, that Eden does the same thing. I'm quite happy to help you with authoring that. But are you okay to do that? When do you think would be a good time to maybe look at that?
Amazing. So let me repeat to be sure that I understand. Basically, to create a proposal that will start from snapshot and it will start from form, potentially will go to snapshot, and will focus on Eden, how exactly will facilitate everything that has to do with talent allocation, either from getting partners in to DD, all the way to be able for talent to be hired through Eden, and how Eden will facilitate that. And then this on top will have some deliverables on features that we have today, features that we will have in the future, and also deliverables on the partner side of like partners that we will bring, both you guys and us. Is that what you are thinking?
That is exactly correct. Basically exactly the same thing as what labs do, what academy do, what agency does, what foundation will do. Getting it up there, allowing the community to weigh in, support, setting like all of those KPIs and metrics, and then participating in like the ceremonies in the DAO, like these coordination calls and the mechanisms in the DAO for like keeping accountable to each other. So yeah, just exactly what I meant, mate. Yeah, basically.
Love it. Okay, yes, really concrete. Perfect. Yes, this is really concrete. I will talk also with Tom. Definitely, we will be really excited to do that. Just let me talk with Tom, and then next week we can start discussing more details about when you guys are thinking for this to be ready, how this fit into us building it and all these things. Just for me to have some time to discuss it first with Tom, to not commit to anything that it doesn't make sense on both of us.
Yeah, cool, man. Awesome. Yeah, if you can come back with like just a confirmation of that for the call next week, I can help you answer any questions. I can help you understand, or help you create the proposal, or I can answer any questions that you've got about like the formalities of doing that. But yeah, if you can come back to next week just to confirm, and then with any questions either in the interim or on this call next week, then hopefully we can get that sorted and moving.
Amazing. And one last question before we move on from that is, when are we thinking approximately to publish this type of proposals, including Eden 1?
Like as soon as humanly possible. So we're kind of late, basically. The budget cycle's in line with the calendar year. So the existing budgets run out in 3 days or whenever New Year's is. So right now, Eden's
amazing. So
kind of scoped into the lab's budget, but the idea is to separate those two out so they can be like more independently understood.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, I understand that. So, in case that we can do something even faster than discussing again for next week, we will DM you. But other than that, worst case scenario, we will talk to you. We will talk to everyone next week.
Yeah, cool, man. That's fine. Like, everyone's running a bit late, right? So, like, the assumption is that shit will pass a bit
Okay.
late and it will be retroactively applied to the start of the year.
Okay. Now I get it. Thank you.
Nice. Thanks, man. Cool. Any questions or comments on any of the updates before we move along, or is everyone good? Ah, Gordo's here. Gordo, hello, sir. How was your Christmas?
Hello, sir. All good. All cold. Snowy. Just a bit.
Nice.
Very good. Which things for agency? I just changed strategy completely regarding agency. I just doing the business development hiring, let's say like that. Having a couple of interviews with a couple people that could be a fit. One of them I will be having, let's say, I last interview after 6th of January. But I do not find the right person, so I started doing it myself. And I had a few conversations with a contact that shared Voltite theorem, which it was a guy who runs like open job board, and then we did like a minor like brainstorming regarding the status of agency and what we were pursuing, and we reached like an interesting, I don't know, idea in order to like get a specific segment of the job listings and create them based on requirements, based on the data this guy was like using, and just like front run job listing based on their data in order to publish agency as a contractor model for those specific job listings that made match the criteria. And I really like this idea. So we are gonna test it.
Cool.
Yeah, that's more or less the status.
Nice.
Yeah.
A couple of leading questions. Where are you up with the budget proposal? And what are your plans for the
Not
budget
finished.
proposal?
I'm just thinking because I'm not thinking about any budget regarding outside of code. The status of code of the agencies, we have an enormous pool of code that is not being used because this decision has not been very successful in terms of activity or not very as I expected. So whatever that happens with AG, we don't need more code. I'm not gonna ask for a specific USD as well because I think it's counterproductive and not necessary. Agency needs to be sustainable. If it is not sustainable, it doesn't mean to exist. Yeah, that's my feeling. So my only goal right now is to make it sustainable, or I will stop doing like pursuing it. That's the reality.
Interesting. Have you got yourself like a timeline for that, mate? Just out of interest, I'm curious.
Well, we had conversations regarding that. I said that I was going to pursue the model until December. I'm not happy with how the model has been working. Let's say like a lot more could have been done, but I'm not happy with the back and forth that agency could have been like I don't know, like iterating the model in order to reach something that the potential client could reach. But my lack of content with the end client and the possibility to fast iterate based on that information just I'm not contacted enough, so I'm just jumping onto that, and I'm gonna do that directly myself. Um, that's the feeling right now. But to be honest, I'm a little bit burned with the yeah. So I'm trying to just on one side, or I like make it like specifically in order to get low and mid tier like potential clients based on these job listings, or I'm happy to just maintain the group of people, which is amazing, and I keep the contact with all of them like one-to-ones, or just stop the project. But the continuation or stopping, um, it's something that I want to openly have a talk to you because it's attached to DD, but it's something that I've been leading like myself almost alone. So yeah, yeah, that's the feeling.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, mate. It seems like getting that down on paper and getting it into the governance forum is probably the most productive way for folks to be able to like read it, understand it, and then comment or comment basically and like share their perspective and ask questions.
Yeah,
one-
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say no, you go, mate, because I was about to switch the subject a little bit.
Yeah, it's just I'm struggling in order to just build a specific proposal for next session, closing quotes, because I'm not seeing a next session. So I'm not looking for a proposal. Maybe specifically a job post, like just streamlining the status of agency, looking for ideas or like collaborations.
Mm-hmm.
One of the specific things I think it's broken is that there's not specific incentives in the agency success. The incentive structure, it's broken. That's what my first feelings. So because it's not a company, it's not it's just a curated group of people, but then as there's not economic incentives in order to bring work, it doesn't. I'm not just. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that.
Okay.
Not very happy. Let's say it like that.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. I'm not surprised from like ambitions to kind of where we managed to get to that you feel like that. I think the default position, if there's no plan, is something doesn't where we need to get to in the DAO is like if we can't see how something's going to work, then it just no longer exists, right? So it's worth considering that. Like if we can't see a model for agency, like it probably doesn't make sense to just let it sit there, right, without like clear plan or team around it, right? Because it's just kind of taking up space, like blocking opportunity for someone else potentially. So maybe if I'm quite happy to chat with. Of course, yeah, happy to chat with you about that, or like read whatever you've got written up. But like I reckon bear that in mind because I think that's where we need to get to. I think it's going to apply to everyone, right? But yeah, I'm happy to chat like anytime in the next week or whatever if you want to like riff on some ideas or if you've got stuff that you want to share to the forum about like your perspective.
I'm really curious if someone wants to take the baton and continue. I'm very curious about who could be. That's the main. Yeah, but no one in any moment like just expressed anything about that. So yeah.
Yeah, like maybe the way to like to do that is to like share your perspective onto the forum of where it's at the moment, and then like put a call out for anyone that's interested in sort of picking up the baton. And if no one is, then no one is, right? We can't force them to do it. Doesn't make sense. It's got to be an opt-in opportunity. Cool.
Yep.
Okay, mate. Appreciate that. The last question was, I think Billy passed a lead to you. I don't know if that arrived to you, if you guys had spoken, but I remember Billy. I remember you mentioning it the other day.
Yeah, I'll repost it again. I'll just tag you again in I guess the jobs and gigs now, just so it's a little bit more open for anybody. There's basically a front end gig that requires credit card and some other stuff. I'll repost it once I grab that data.
Cool. Sweet. Okay, just going to highlight these governance discussions that are going on at the moment for folks to have a look. Where are we? So yeah, I just encourage people to go to the forum and check these out. Manny's one is about how we might be able to sort of shift back to an NFT-based membership model, and there's some very interesting conversation happening on there about like questions that raises for the DAO. Like what is a membership? How would we practically do this? Perks here is like a really simple rudimentary version of old perks, just living on the handbook. I'm planning to tidy this up today based on some feedback. But yeah, if anyone's got any interest or comments on there, please drop by. I redacted my proposal to change the code requirement to join Discord because I think from the conversations that Manny started, single NFT is a better primitive for that. I shared sort of more context as to the reasons why on the proposal. I've also shared an RFC for Developer DAO Gateway. We've been, just for anyone who doesn't know, we've been approached by Grove, Nodies and Pocket multiple times. Yeah, Manny, that will go out in payroll at the end of the season, so in the next 2 days. On the RPC Gateway, Grove, Nodies and Pocket have all been like asking us questions and speaking to us being mainly me, Manny and Billy, about the prospect of Developer DAO creating its own RPC Gateway. So I didn't want to continue to be like a gatekeeper of that opportunity. I know I don't have the time, nor do I have the skills to build it. So what I've tried to do is just present that to the community on the forum of like, here's the opportunity that's kind of been presented to us. These are the options as I understand how to build it. What do people think about it? Is there an interest in building it? So I guess like open ask if there's anyone who like is interested in diving into that more. I'm quite happy to speak to them or answer any questions on the forum or connect them with the right people. For now, for me, it's like in the background just because I know that I don't have the time or the skills. I would be relying on working with other people to build it, and I don't have the time to kind of like rally support around it fully at the moment. But the opportunity is there, and like if anyone's interested, I'm quite happy to like facilitate whatever they need to understand if they can do it, if it's interesting enough, or if they want to do it. In theory, I think it's a very interesting, very cool idea, and yeah, be interested to know what if there's anyone that wants to know more info. Manny rejected his original NFT membership proposal here, and we've still got Piablo's idea for a sort of citizens assembly for governance participation floating about. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, specific, like quick questions on any of this at the moment, like we could give it 20 seconds for folks to speak up. Otherwise, yeah, please take thoughts and perspectives and ideas and questions to the forum. Well, that's not actually Notions.
You want us to comment on these right now?
No, if anyone's got any like specific asks at the moment that they think are really pertinent to like a question, then like yeah, by all means share. Otherwise, like forum's the place.
Got it. So then I guess we should move on. Because just put it in the forum.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to highlight it, make sure people are seeing it. This actually comes to you, Manny. The question that you asked earlier was about Notion project structures, right? The question so what I've been doing, as I think you know, is kind of like rebuilding these structures based on the conversation that you and I had to try and make things more project based and be able to assign us out accountability. So what I would like to do is organize a chat with definitely you and ideally Willavim and Gordo, if agency is still going forward, about how this thing is at the moment, if folks are happy to use it, and how it might evolve. Manny, I think you'd naturally be up for that. But where are you at with your thinking for this?
Yeah, ideally we all have a source of truth to be able to kind of keep each other accountable in that sense, right? So I've already started for the near stuff, already tried to organize the project accordingly. I'm just confirming some other details. But the other thing is, what I'll add to this is like a calendar in terms of the project specifically, so that everybody has an idea of what that looks like in terms of including updates. So I'll add like a wiki section for this as well, related to this specific, because it's a specific project, so that you can kind of keep up to date where things are at. So it's sort of like meeting notes, etc. And you'll see that I've already set things up where you are informed. Manny's consulted, and the DRI, where I'll confirm with Manny, probably be myself, to be able to, or Manny will confirm with that. And then basically I'm going to be that main point of contact, hopefully, and then making sure that you're kept informed from that point. So I'm establishing at least like some deliverable, like the actual details. I try to give this as detailed as possible. So if anybody has any questions or, in regards to a specific project, you literally just direct them to the actual Notion to give them context, what's delivered, what isn't delivered, what does a calendar look like, who are the main contacts, like where do we go from there? Like you'll see the communication channels, a TG group, like all that is established there. So we have a base to be able to say, hey, what do we need to do to be able to go from there? So yes, it has started.
I love it, Manny. This is great. Yeah, awesome. Be cool to sort of like, as you start to like figure out how this stuff gets structured, and kind of compared to like maybe how I've approached it or Mark's approached it, to if it's helpful to like settle on some like defaults for folks. Do you want to like quickly explain the concept of a DRI and like where it fits into this?
Yeah, so the way that it works, or DRI is a direct responsible individual. I think we talked about this before. There's actually, if I bring up the reference to whatever that acronym is again. But basically the idea behind it is, this is the person that if there's anything that you need to know about this particular project, if that person is that main point of contact, that is the person who's that direct responsible individual to be able to see things through and kind of organizing those things. That this is the actual project doesn't necessarily mean that it's the DRI for the deliverables. So in that sense, if there's like something in terms of, hey, deliverables not being met, or etc., you don't go to that individual, because the goal is to let them do their work. It would be essentially to that DRI that you report to and say, hey, I'm having this difficulty, or etc. Then it's up to me or the DRI in this sense to be able to make sure that things are progressing or get an update on things, right? So if you need a status update, there's something in terms of a conflict, in terms of with something, you go directly to the DRI. And then if you look up top a little bit more in terms of informed and as well as consulted, the idea behind this is that there's some sort of sense of accountability. So consulted is going to be, in this case, I put Manny in that sense. So anything that has to do with like, hey, with this particular project, if there's something in terms of a concern, or saying, hey, I need to get some advice on something, that person would be consulted. But the DRI is the main person in terms of responsible. And then informed, I put you as this camp, but the idea is really because a lot of these projects are public, the goal is to keep it informed in terms of you to be able to kind of communicate comms with it. Now, I know that these Notion docs are private, and the reason why we keep them private and we hopefully kind of funnel communication through you is to give the public a need to know basis, because there is sometimes sensitive information or sometimes like release dates that might come from partners. So we might want to keep that on wraps to not kind of divulge that information kind of going forward. So we would kind of just make sure that you're kept to date so that the rest of the public is kept to date with that information as well. That makes sense?
Makes perfect sense, mate. Much better explanation than I would have given. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm trying to do the same thing on the stuff that is in my docket, and then the what I wanted to get to this week was you, me, Manny, you, me, go away, you, me, Mark, and Gordo, if agency's continuing. Basically anyone who's leading a project. So Blue, in your case, that would be you or Tom. You guys would need to choose, are all kind of like bought into this system, right? So we can have some transparency around what's being delivered in the DAO, who's responsible for it, what are the deadlines, and everyone at least who's working on these things can check it. And it will be like, we don't want it to be like an overbearing administration lift. So like in Eden's case, we're probably not going to want to know the like individual features that you're maybe don't want to know the individual features that you're building in exact progress, but like we certainly want to get some high level stuff in there for sure.
100%. What I would say though, actually going forward to you, Kemp, and I realize that we're streaming this live. Some of those tasks though, we might want to keep that private. So we'll try to see if we can do a separate tab if you scroll down into the tasks, we can create another view specifically where it's like, hey, these are things that are deemed public. So a lot of these things have you, this is not the case, but in the future, there might be things that are kept private. So we'll create a separate board in the private task list, things are marked private versus public. So if you do stream it, you could just see things that are public from that point of view.
Perfect. So you basically like saying create another tab here and have like some kind of filter that just says private, so that shit doesn't show up in this.
Exactly.
Beautiful, Manny. Love it. And I guess we should probably do the same for projects as well, just in case, so we don't get into that position. But like, ideally, the goal is as much as can be public as possible. But yeah, there are obviously going to have situations where that's not possible. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Sweet. I will reach out to Mark then. He's ill at the moment, so sadly we can't close that loop. But given you kind of pushed me to get the ball rolling on this, and you're already doing it yourself, I'm pretty sure you're into it. So we just need to follow up with Mark, Gordo, and then
just to set some expectations with this as well, Kemp. So I don't mind meeting up with people to be able to kind of see what that process looks like. Everybody is a little bit different, and projects obviously styles work differently. This is how I've worked. That said, I usually like to give it maybe a little bit of time before enforcing something, because things will change depending on the actual company or the project for that matter. So I would they can use, what I would say is like, you look at the Notion doc as a reference if they already have access. And then if they have some initial questions, feel free, but I would give it at least maybe 2 weeks so that it's going to be more concretely defined. Just because, again, this is running through a new team. And from that point of view, things might change, and there are things that need to be adhered to, or there's a little bit of a flex.
Cool, I'm with you, man. You into like ultimately like at a structural level how this works? You, me, Willavim, Blue or Tom, like we all need to be aligned on like the basic structures, and then like maybe the implementation details at like the project level about like how this shit's all structured might end up being like a bit more fluid.
Yeah, again, if at a quick glance, like from an informed perspective, it's like you need to know what the latest update is on a weekly basis. Like, hey, what are the status updates, right? What was completed last week? What was completed this week? What's on the docket? What were things that were blocked? That should be aware of. And then obviously deadlines as we're getting closer to specific things. Are we meeting them? Or are we not? And then if by two sprint, or whatever the sprint cadence might be for that particular project, if it's going past like 2 sprints or even 1 sprint, it's time to be able to say, hey, like, what's the intervention here? Like, we need to be able to step in and see what's going on, right? And then make any course corrections that are big enough.
I love it, mate. I like the idea as well as giving it a couple of weeks. I'll pester Mark and the academy team to lean into this. Maybe I'll jump on a call with Mark just to show him what it is and give him access, and then kind of let it happen for a few weeks, as you say, and then maybe we can kind of bang heads after when we figured out what's working and what's not. Nice. Good stuff, mate. Cool. If anyone's got any questions or any comments, any of this stuff, like, feel free to drop messages in the chat or ask away. Question here from myself is, we're doing all of these conversations at the moment in the coordination call. Like, is anyone what's the word I'm looking for? Is anyone against like lifting these up out of that private space and into maybe like gov chat or a public space in the DAO in terms of these like regular community rituals? What's pain, money?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Cool.
I'm all about doing it I mean, yeah, you saw me put up a forum post on these partnerships, and I'm going to try to continue doing that, and then hopefully we get a bit more inclusive DAO where we can, yeah, work towards being very transparent on every single thing.
Cool. I'll just start doing that from next week then, and work it out as we go. And then the last thing that I've got on here is we've still got this kind of like unsolved role of the stewards. I'm suggesting that like we connect stewards to sub-DAOs, and the reason that I'm suggesting this, so like each sub-DAO has like at least one person who's a steward, and the reason that I'm suggesting this is because it ensures that they're active in the DAO, so like they're already here all the time anyway. Second, that they've got decent context of what's going on and can be involved in decisions that impact them. And then the third is they're already elected in the DAO anyway. So some of the big problems that we had last season was like the opposites of these, right? Like the stewards like weren't really around and they just showed up for the call and then like didn't really have any context. And also because they weren't really around, it was very hard to like get stuff signed in a reasonable time, make like informed decisions. So the idea is that rather than have like free, like openly elected stewards from around the DAO where like I think it's like safe to assume based on experience that we're gonna run into the same problems, that like we have those people like nominated or maybe even elected from the sub-DAOs. So I'm wondering if anyone's got any thoughts or feedbacks on that. Now, I'm planning to post the idea to the forum in the next sort of, probably next week. Going once. Going twice.
I mean, it works as long as we have enough sub-DAOs. Otherwise, we still have to elect.
That is a very good point, mate. I mean, if we don't have many, if we don't have any sub-DAOs, we're going to be like, maybe there's a way to handle that. Like, if we have 2 sub-DAOs, it's 2. I don't know. That's a really good question, though.
Be right back, coffee.
I have serious doubts regarding the incentive structure of the whole DAO right now. I started to really think about it regarding with the post of money regarding the subscription NFT and the business model that require based on, hey, people who are participants of the DAO, then they are like involved economically, and that what that implies regarding participating in the DAO. I really like it. I really like that model. How it can permeate down by having the subscription model into the participation into the DAO. And I do not know if there is other model that is sustainable, that it's not partners, that creates incentives, the right incentives, not incentives, but the right incentives to be in the DAO. But I'm really thinking about that these days. Yeah, I didn't find it because the incentive is, in order to be in the DAO right now these days, it's just a mix of trying to get a job in Web3, like as you're a participant in what is the reason in which way you get in, mix of like trying to participate of the network of Web3. There's like a 3 or like 4 main areas of work in which like guide people in order to be in the DAO. Yeah, I'm a little bit just, yeah, I don't know how to make it work this time.
Yes.
But I like the subscription model.
Yeah, I think Manny's proposals opened up some super interesting questions around that, and like I agree with like the concept of I think that his suggestion of moving to that NFT model is potentially like a really good solution for exactly what you're suggesting, and it means that there is a thing that we can focus on to drive value towards and maybe build a roadmap and plan around. I really like it. I shared something here which would be good. Love to get folks' feedback on, like, based on kind of conversations that are happening around the DAOs, like what a roadmap might look like for making this a reality, and then how we might be able to bring in funds on the back of that. But yeah, I agree with you, and I think Manny did us all a service for pushing that conversation.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think another interesting thing is, like, even digging deep down, why do people join the DAO? People join the DAO to get a job, join the DAO to upskill themselves, and then we kind of have this like oddball culture, which I thought about it deeper yesterday, where we kind of like, where we kind of feel like, oh, that person doesn't participate in the DAO anymore. But then I thought, like, hey, if you think of like a university campus or an alumni, like I joined developer to upskill myself, get a job, all that stuff. So yeah, I hang around because I feel like I want to be a core contributor. But for some people, that's enough, and maybe they roll out. So like, what do we do with like the alumni of the DAO, right? So like, we should be proud that, like, X amount of people got a job to the DAO, and our what is our goal for developer DAO? I think we don't go back to our mission statement, is where we want to educate devs, and like, let's just use Daiwat for example as a thing. He's not here, but like, he joined, he upskilled himself, and he got a job in Web3. And so is it up to him to hang around the DAO? Maybe not anymore, right? So maybe that's how I think about this, right? Is we've done the job, and maybe he'll come around for like maybe a workshop to learn new things, but he's an alumni of Developer DAO, and what do we do with those alumni in that journey too, right? I think we focused on. So yeah, that's how I've kind of been thinking about this. Not upskill. Upskill. You don't want to kill anybody here. Yeah, upskill. Yeah, but yeah. So it's.
Yeah, but the problem with those models is that Stanford, like, takes a more important fee out of students, and then some of them are like subsidized because
Yeah, I mean, like, I still
then
donate. I donate back to my alumni university when they ask me for donations. I give back because like you've done a decent amount of things. There's a way that we have to figure out the culture here. It shouldn't be always about take. We've given a lot of people a lot of things. It's just like, that's why I'm really focused on the NFT journey, is that there's still, our job is not done. There still is millions of people that we could onboard into Web3, and the NFT being the easiest way to do it. We upskill them, we get them a job, and then they become an alumni of DD, which they could still participate in events, mentorship, other things like that. But also, we just shouldn't, we shouldn't feel bad as people leave the DAO, right? That's what Developer DAO's job really was, to upskill and get people jobs.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at it that way, Manny, of like the cultural thing of like, oh, all of these people have moved on and forgotten about the DAO, but it's like the DAO's done its job of like getting them that opportunity. It's like a complete 180 in terms of the sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we did it. It was a success.
We did. It is a success matter, right? And that's something that would potentially, from our marketing material, we should be proud to display this, right? That we've done the job, right? I mean, that is the core point of thing, and we shouldn't be hard on ourselves when people leave the DAO. I mean, I'm not. I was just wondering why from a subculture thing we always think, oh, people are not coming around, and we can invite them around. It's like, I get asked to do guest lectures at my university all the time if I want to do it, right? And it's up to me as a graduate if I want to do it. We can start asking those people to be part of our culture again, and then the new members that join get a benefit of people that have been in the space, and we create like this circular effect. Well, you're still, like, if I've graduated from Stanford, I'm still a Stanford alumni. Same with people that have left the DAO. They're still alumni of the DAO, and they'll participate in other things like You know, when I had a little one that was born, I bought a onesie that said my university's alumni matter. Maybe there's swag and other things that they should be proud of, right? And I just want to change the culture here where we shouldn't be like, oh, people have to hang around in the DAO. It's like, no, we've done our job. They got a job. They're upskilled. They're contributing members of Web3. So that just needs to change.
Yeah,
And
we
maybe
would-
those people might actually buy a reoccurring NFT just to hold their membership because it's just like something to give back, right? That's another thing. Like, like I'll hold mine. It's like a card, right? It's like people will always renew memberships. It's just a neat idea. It's like I just don't want to be a member even though I graduated, right? These
I
are just
really like the idea of the membership, and I think it can work. It approaches more like a club of Web3 builders that, and then everything that happens around regarding like education, and it is not dependent on external actors. So that's what that would like. Yeah, that's what complicates a lot. Yeah,
yeah, the
I
goal
know how. So, yeah, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
I agree with you, Gordo. Like my goal is like, it's like I think partner content is great, but the goal really is how do we make our own generated content. So we have a bumping YouTube channel, we have a bumping whatever. And then yeah, we could run a simple thing would be like, oh, you want a sponsored ad on here? That's cool. That's like, Bankless charges $200,000 to run an ad on their podcast, right? But they don't have to create that partner's content, right? They're just displaying that partner content because their internal content that they're building gets so many views. Things like that.
Yeah, again, but I'm really concerned about like how do we, because I think we are not in a position in order to start moving that wheel. We need to push it a little bit more in order to generate that like critical, I don't know, let's say network effect or whatever that can like go similar to that. But
Yeah, I think that's where we gradually move to, right? Where we got to start thinking about it, and which is where like we need to like, yeah, we just need to go back to the original days where we supported content that was created internally. I think like I can't remember what starter kit was it, like WagMe or something like that, or some starter kit that was built and we propagated that, and we just need to get back at like displaying when cool things in developer DAO kind of get taken off, and then invite people in developer DAO to come up with their own user generated content, which has a nicety of being a membership. We'll post it up on our YouTube channel, and then it's just a wheel. It's just an effect, right? And then eventually we have a lot of content. People are coming out to check our YouTube page, and then we can turn on the flywheel of like paid ads, things like that. But it's a longer journey for sure.
Yeah.
Nothing that we can turn on instantly.
I think one of the really cool things about it is it provides like an anchor for the DAO to align around. So, like if we are like for all of the reasons that Manny and Gordo have expressed around like being able to take control of our own content, being able to kind of switch up away from that kind of reliance on partners to sort of sustain the DAO. Like if the NFT membership idea is a way of doing that, maybe it's a one-off to begin with while we trial it out. I don't know, but if it gives us that kind of like North Star thing to aim on and drive value towards, then I think it can open up some interesting, it can be an interesting catalyst for like aligning around a roadmap for like the next 6 to 12 months of like, okay, cool, like if this is what we want to do, like what are the steps to do that? And I think to Gordo's point about like how do we get enough like traction and energy behind this, and then like to another point which I'm sure some people are thinking about is like where's the money going to come to fund this. It's like I think there is an opportunity for all of those things to align, and I was talking to Manny about this yesterday. Is like and that's kind of what I'd written on the forum, is like if we want to go after this, then like there's probably like a pretty significant opportunity to pitch for a grant or have a competitive process to choose the L2 to be the destination for not only that membership NFT, but also potentially like all the DAO's on-chain attestations, any attestations that Academy work up to deploy. And then I was also chatting with some folks about the idea of like moving the DAO's media on-chain. So like in this like building a fork of Mirror or using Mirror or something similar to like move the blog on-chain. Like if all of that was going towards like one L2, I think there's quite a significant case there to get some like really decent grant funding in from like ARB or OP, because like what they're going to get off the back of that is like instantly overnight every single developer DAO member is a user, every single developer DAO member in the future is a user, all of the content output that ever comes out of a developer DAO goes onto their chain. And I think there's probably a pretty significant opportunity there, but like these are the kind of things that I think that unlocks, is like that we could think about, that I think could be quite cool.
Yeah, like I even feel like, you know, Academy's not here, but it, you know, they should be applying for a grant, and then that is revenue coming in, things like that, right? Even SSDD, we should be applying for Arbitrum grants, STIPs, Optimism, all of these grants, right? Whatever, which L2 we want to actually get closer to. And as a DAO, we should be moving to an L2 anyways. It's cheaper for people to build it in developer DAO ecosystem. And then we just got to think about like, okay, have the NFT, what do you get with the NFT? It could be like, oh, developer DAO has like perks for developers where you can get chairs, Office, you can get SaaS subscriptions for cheaper. That's a perk for holding it yearly. Access to swag, access to events. So like we just create this whole ecosystem that's around upskilling a developer. And if they leave the ecosystem because they got a job, great, they get a job. But doesn't mean that they're not an alumni when we continue doing this. This is why I was kind of I'm interested on the like, Martin's here and Phil was here, but like Perks was started off, but like we didn't get traction because people didn't want to pay for it. But what if it just gets rolled into like into the developer DAO ecosystem where it's like the NFT gives you access to these perks, and then I was even thinking like partners actually like you have to buy an NFT to even post your perks, so that's another sale right there. And then now they know that now that partner is part of our ecosystem for a long time, and so now they know they can for 1 year they can post up all their perks, and it's like there you go. And so like eventually it's like the credit card model, right? I pay for Amex Black, I pay $600 fee, but I get upwards of $2,800 of like value associated with my Amex card, which is, lounges, free checked-in luggage, etc. Right? Similar idea. Job, yeah. Look, we have so much things going on. Like, I'm very bullish on Eden. We have just so many things going on in the DAO that holding that NFT could give you access to, and maybe that's how we build an ecosystem, right? We are still a developer DAO, so everything that should be is around about what value can we provide to that developer on their journey, right? Like an RPC makes a lot of sense, jobs makes a lot of sense, workshops, academy courses make a lot of sense. What else can we do to do that, right? And I'm not against the code token. I think the code token is a great idea, but like there's jurisdiction and laws against it, so you can't really advertise it. And then like a new user doesn't really understand potentially new like swap, like to go to a Uniswap to get it. So like, but the goal is that we want to bring Web 2 devs in, but they may not understand that process, so we're losing people in that conversion, right? And then eventually the long-term goal is we want to bring value back to code token. Yeah, we want an economy, so we let's say we got $1 million of sales every other year or whatever, we can burn or we can buy back code token, and that creates liquidity in the system, right? These are all things that we could potentially do, but and then yeah, I think as people bring more value aligned things, yeah, or it's like we have $1 million in the treasury, and now you want to create a new project inside a developer DAO. Okay, cool. You can apply. You can put up a proposal, and we can fund that project. So we just have more dry powder to do great things. It fundamentally comes down to is that we don't have any dry powder to make people, to help people get their job, get their work off the ground. Maybe if we move to a layer 2, maybe Arbitrum would be someone that do that. We're actually have a partnership with Gitcoin. So like, these are the kind of things that I think in 2024 we need to explore. As Arbitrum is trying to solve the same problem, is bringing new users to their ecosystem, and we're trying to educate new users. We're on the same mission as them, same mission as Gitcoin. So yeah, I'll stop.
I love it, mate. I agree. Like all of it, I think is exactly kind of the kind of thinking we need in the DAO in order to kind of reach the potential that we have. I love the idea of like getting out of our corner of Web3 and like working with these large other DAOs that like frankly have large treasuries, but maybe not quite the and would love to.
Well,
access
that's
our
what I want.
community.
That's where I want you to rethink about what a steward is. And a steward should be someone that is applying into the DAO or applying to be a steward because they want to foster stewardship between other DAOs, right? It's like, this is what we're doing here and bringing in cross collaboration, where a steward shouldn't just be completely this. I think we need to steward that. There's partnerships team, which is, right now it's just myself and like drop knowledge helps, but then the steward should be someone that's stewarding things into the DAO, right? So like that should be someone that wants to get closer to other ecosystems. So we could have a steward that helps with like Arbitrum, Optimism, Gitcoin, and we need to get a little bit more out of our own like ecosystem because we don't have much going on, and figure out, okay, what are these stewards meet, what's going on other things in Web3, how do we get involved and put those ideas on the forum. A steward should be comfortable writing stuff and saying, get the DAO's thoughts on it, and then go chase these things. Okay, let's get involved in this, and that's how we're gonna grow. I don't think a steward should be just. A steward should be some of the stuff that we need to do internally, but it should be very an external facing role, in my point of view. Yeah, maybe in the short term we can't compensate them, but in the long term, the value that they provide in just being part of stewardship, they get to grow. There's intrinsic, there's other values, like A, you get to know more in the Web3 space. B, eventually when we do figure out like the money problem, a steward could be a paid role, right? Or that's what you're helping with, is cross governance between other DAOs. Everyone's dealing with the same problem. They need builders, and we got builders, and we just need to like just cross pollinate.
Yeah, to like I think some of that external, like at least from a delegation point of view, was in the original definition of stewards. It's just stuff like it not happening. Do you like? And and I agree with you that stuff needs to happen, and like allocating it to them makes sense, assuming they're going to do it right, and we're not allocating it to people that aren't going to do it. That's a really interesting point. We've got those big delegations as well, which we could be using to kind of like flex our influence around, like not in a way of like overwhelmingly voting proposals in our favor, but like in a way of like getting the DAO out there into these communities and like representing, like not just in a partnership with them, but like governing those protocols as well. That's it.
Yeah, we have a whole tokens. Maybe we should be cross-swapping tokens, getting involved in the other DAOs, and like that's the only way like organic partnerships and organic like amount of like influx of money and deals and partnerships. Like if you provide them value, they're either going to give you value by giving you like users or like awareness, or B, they're going to give you value by monetary exchange, right? So but we're not out there exchanging value, but then we kind of get in our feelings saying like, oh, we have no money. I was like, yeah, but we're not providing value to the bigger DAOs for them to give us anything, right? It's a catch 2020, and like the DAO, and there's only a limited amount in a month, so you can't cram as many partnerships in as we want, right? So The only way you can make bigger amounts of money to sustain the DAO is either self-created content and ads. So you can run multiple people at the same time on these ads, or B, if you do partnerships like hackathons, they take a month, right? And no one really wants to pay $100,000 for a hackathon. They're going to pay max 20K, let's say. And even if you run two of them, that's only 40K. That doesn't really solve the DAO's money problem in the long term. It brings opportunity, but it doesn't solve the DAO's. I think it's still like, I don't know if Kemp is shared, but it costs $30,000 alone to run the foundation, right? So like, think about it, right? That is a big chunk of the money that's coming in every year that is going out to foundation costs. That's not even covering SaaS costs. It's just a lot out there.
Yeah, I think that also plays into like the general feeling about like how do we introduce decent accountability and like shared accountability structures, and like all these things kind of seem connected and like weirdly associated with the idea of the NFT membership as well, like in some way or another. It's like if we're all rallied around that as being like the core primitive on which we're trying to capture value, like all of these interesting questions come on top of it. Okay, right, cool. If that's what we're doing, what's the roadmap to make that as valuable as possible? Okay, cool. Part of that roadmap is creating the NFT. How can we do that in the best way? Let's get a grant from an L2. How can we maximize that grant? And then like what other grants out there so we can bring more value? Like it's all in a really interesting way. Like I think the NFT could be like a forcing function for like getting aligned around those kind of ideas and for how the DAO can move forward and like take advantage of like the quite frankly like ridiculous amount of opportunity that's out there in the industry at the moment with these DAOs that have like lots and lots of money that they're looking to allocate and largely looking to allocate it to builders. I'm curious, we've got like other folks on this call like listening into that conversation and like Manny's perspective and Gordo's perspective, if anyone else has got any perspective around some of these topics or questions or ideas.
My main, sorry to circle back again, but my main concern has been always that like I always thought about this like view of developer DAO regarding the builder club, in which like trying to mimic somehow this Y Combinator like Techstars model, but on Web3. If you look at the business model of those like a companies or like clubs, the end goal is the investment part and the approach to come to projects that are like literally like born inside the community. And so and then you have this network of like potential investors that are interested in participating because it's so curated and so like to the point in order to be near to a successful business in the ecosystem that the whole model runs like in this ultra curated club of people that will potentially launch successful projects that attracts a lot of value. But I'm really concerned that in order to build that sexy sexy group of potential people, people that build stuff, yeah, the journey may kill the community or even yeah, or maybe the community needs to be way more like strict in order to reach the size enough in order to be agile enough in order to reach something like that. I don't know. I'm not fully convinced with the content model. Not fully convinced with the partners model. And this model, I'm sorry to be negative right now, but I'm just thinking these days, and I'm just trying to remove trying to be realistic with what can be done and what cannot. So yeah, because this approach of, hey, we have this amount of people, uh, inside this group of people, there's like a specific percentage that are like builders with the capacity of an entrepreneurial spirit, and with the drive in order to to move this wheel ahead. We can we can we can put the community and the developer DAO structure on top of these people, as the main drivers of the of the organization of what developer DAO will be potentially becoming, and then afterwards, like the whole wheel will continue. But the feeling afterwards is that there's a lot of builders, but there's not a lot of like this entrepreneurial spirit. So people just try to just find a job in Web3, which is completely okay. What it's not completely okay is how do you build a business model on top of that, in order for the community to continue existing. That's yeah.
I think
Yeah.
no, I think you're yeah. I mean, you're on the right thing. This is why I went back. My original point is that like the majority of people, 95 to let's say 95% of the people that join, most people want to work a 9 to 5 and want to have a balance, and they don't want to create they don't want to create a company, right? The 5%, the crazies, myself, yourself, other people that want to build these companies, they do, and they like the asymmetrical bet of losing it all or making it big, right? We have to cater to 95% of the DAO, which is they want to learn and they want a job. That's like was always our biggest journey here, right? The other 5% is where this is where we go out to other DAOs and say, hey, we have this 5% of subset that wants to build something great, but we'll do it on your chain. If you give us some funding, we'll do it on Arbitrum, and they want to build something in the ecosystem. We're on the same journey with you, and then we take that money and we fund those people. Right now, we don't have that mechanism to fund them, but we could. This is where I think having someone like Kemp back into a governance role, the stewards back into it, going to have chats with these big DAOs, Ethereum Foundation, back to Uniswap, the Graph, Arbitrum, all these people. Hey, we have all these people. It's 5% of the DAO. We're not going to sugarcoat it, but they will build something great, and that could be deployed on your chain. And then the remaining 95% of our journey are developers that want to get a job, and they'll potentially code on your. They'll want to code and get a job, and that's what they want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can keep upskilling them, right? I think we shouldn't pretend what we aren't. We aren't an entrepreneur DAO. We are a DAO that people join to get a job and to upskill themselves, right? And that's why if you look at the partnerships are all about learn our new technology and commit your 9 to 5 or find a job in this type of technology, right? It's the kind of partners we get, right? Like even Near, that's why they want to partner with us, or they partnered with us. They want to teach these new Web 2 people how to code or use Near, and so when they apply or build something in the future, they use Near technology, right? Just the way it is.
No, Manny, you basically summarised exactly what my thinking was on that as well. I think 95% of the people don't necessarily fall into that bucket. So and we're a DAO, so build around the majority and give them what they want. Whether or not that means that the significant upside might be in the 5% who do want to lean in and take that risk and build stuff, right? But until we've served the 90% and provided that value and made it a great place for them to achieve those goals, it's to shift the DAO away to focus on the small minority that will take those big bets is counter to.
Well, look at the rock stars that came out of the DAO, right? Natter, he doesn't have his own company. He still works for someone. Maybe he does things on the side, but he still works for the Aave Foundation and Lens. Rahat Bioeconomy, Reset Scroll, Coding with Manny Barachain, me at Uma, right? Everyone is still working a 9 to 5, right? There's been a select few that build things. Tom, Eden, Gordo, you're building your services-based company. So there's just a small handful of people. And I think we just forget about that, that most people just, they want to upscale and get a great job in Web3. And honestly, I can't blame them. It pays quite well just to work a 9 next job. So
I'm not just criticizing. I was just like trying to be analytical.
no, I
Because
think
maybe,
I like your
maybe the point
perspective.
is
I like your
double down
perspective.
on it.
Yeah. I like your perspective, Gordo. I'm just answering back. I think, like, I love your perspective. I think it's great. This is what we need for a healthy conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, and like to that
Let me
idea.
just-
Oh, go on, Manny. Gordo, even sorry, mate.
No, I was just saying that that just maybe just trying to I used to do when things are pretty wide open. You kind of focused. So risk and reduce risks and double down on specific stuff that you know it works, and provide quality on specific areas. Used to work. So if that's the model, how to like enlarge it and provide the maximum amount of quality in that model as possible in order to be top of the market in that area? That for me would be the next question. Yeah.
Are you referring specifically to the concept of like the content model at the moment and like how to become the best at that?
The content and what Manny was explaining, which I agree with that. Like, hey, developer DAO, it's about you wanting to provide to you are coming from Web2, and this as a pipeline in order to approach Web3 and get a job into it, and then create this club of people that work in Web3 directly, and then have these side projects and after connections, and then move to the next job. And so if that's the specific profile, then my next question would be, okay, how do we enlarge that to the maximum in order to be able to, maybe we don't know it right now, but we are in discovery mode. So at some point in regarding the business model, in which like we with this community and double down on this like specific community, yeah, it has to work. Maybe the subscription, maybe it's just, I don't know if the partnerships is the way, or you feel like more in contact with that. And you have to stop and think long term for a moment. Realistically, yeah, which are the odds for that? And yeah.
I think that's good. What I honestly suggest most people to do, and I'm trying to do this with the DAO more, is like, I don't think the Discord is great for this kind of discussion, but I think everyone that has like thoughts and like is concerned is like, I think put up a forum post. I think we should start really engaging more on there. It's a cleaner way to like keep track of this stuff. I get lost in Discord personally, so I feel like forums as like Gordo. I think even just writing this up even further, you're just putting it up on the forum. It's just a great way to keep track of this stuff, right? It also shows, and like most people visit, our external people visit our forums and read what's going on in developer now, and good, yeah, it's good reinvigorate. I think there's no wrong opinion. That's what my thought is, just get everything on the forum. I mean, you're busy, I'm busy. Like, I have no time to go through every single channel in Discord. I think forums are the best way to do this. But I love your take, Gordo, and I think being analytic about this is probably the right way of doing this, right? And I think more people would actually support you if you put more people would support your thought process. You're coming from a place of love. I can sense it. So I think forum is the great place, because like a lot of people actually have a 9 to 5, right? And like we have a small subset of people here, but a large DAO. If we put on the forum and maybe use your newsletter more and say, hey, go see what happened in the forums this week, right? More and more people will actually come. Like Nick Tyndall popped out of nowhere, and I haven't seen that guy for 8 months, which was great.
Cool. I'm gonna wrap up the quote-unquote formal version of this call like 30 minutes later, just so I can kill the recording, but I'm gonna hang around for a little bit longer if folks want to keep chatting. So I'll just stop that now, and then